Welcome back to the Ken Coleman Show. Time for a coaching session. Let's go to Charlotte, North Carolina. Jessica joins us. Jessica, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet. What's going on?
So I'm in a conundrum here.
Uh-oh.
I was a healthcare worker for about 10 years and got burnt out in 2018. I was a nursing home administrator, left the industry for about a year and got back in at the end of 2019. And we know what happened in 2020. I made it for about another year during COVID, and then I left again because it was just way too stressful.
Mm-hmm.
So my conundrum is that for the past 3 years, I've been in and out of jobs. I don't stay maybe a year, maybe less, but I find myself really bored, and I find myself always thinking about going back to healthcare. So that's where I'm at. I need some advice. I, at a weak moment, sent my resume back in. I have an interview on Monday, and I'm constantly weighing the pros and cons.
Same kind of role.
Yeah. So I'd love to
I'm
hear
so
your
glad
advice
you called.
on that.
Yeah, I'm so glad you called. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you my bumper sticker advice, and then we're going to talk through it, and I want you to ask questions, okay?
Okay.
Here's my bumper sticker advice. Don't go back to the thing that keeps burning you out. Now, that's the bumper sticker. So now we go, all right, what should we be going to? But you're in this yo-yo situation where you get burned out, then you get bored, then you jump back in, and you get burned out again. And it's just because you're afraid to try something else. And you're a doer. You love to make things happen. And you're sitting on the sidelines right now going, I'm losing my mind if I don't go do something productive. And then you go, but the only thing I know is nursing home administrator, and I know it's going to be a 5-alarm fire, and I'm going to get burned, but good gosh, it's better than being bored. That's what I think is going on. Is it true or false?
You hit the nail on the head.
Okay, so I'm your friend. I'm like, Jessica, what are we doing here? Let's figure out what you're good at, what you love, and results that matter to you, and let's get real clear on that. I don't think it's going to be difficult. And then we go, we need a new location. I think that there's a lot of the administrator role, the leadership, supervisor, probably operational type person. That's the right work. I just think it's in the wrong place. True or false?
Yeah, I think that could be true.
I mean, here's where I'm going. Before we get into the talent, passion, mission, I want to run through that. But is it the environment of that world that is just so out of whack that takes the joy out of the stuff that you enjoy doing?
Well, it's like you were just talking about, there's a shortage of nurses. People just don't want to work in nursing home as much, because there's a lot of stereotypes. So, yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of, like you said, 5-alarm fires, but I kind of thrive in that environment. I'm good at doing that, but it just burns me out. Well,
okay, let's break that down. What are you good at doing? Take me into that. Take me into you're good. Is it good at managing complexity? Is it good under fire? What is it?
I think a little bit of all of that. I'm good with people. I'm good at process. I'm good at allowing people to go through process and leading them through that. I left because it's hard for me to leave that alone when I go home. And so, like you said, I'm obsessive about it.
Where does that come from?
I just probably control and fear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you have a lot of that growing up?
Yeah, not because of anything my parents did. It was just kind of inherent in my nature, I think.
Mm-hmm. So here's what we have to do. We have to find an environment where it's all about process and people, okay? And I love the combo here. That's just a beautiful leadership combination where you inherently see when processes are broken or not efficient, and you realize that there's a people quotient to that, and people can figure it out if I get the right people there. So there's the process side of you, but then you love nurturing and leading and guiding people and helping, right?
Yep.
Okay. I think you have got to put yourself in a situation where there's less crisis, a whole lot less, and you go into a place that is more aligned. Well, let me say this differently. I'm literally real time in this. I think that you need to be in a critical thinking role, not a crisis solving role.
Yeah.
Is that, I was trying to grab that a minute ago, because I think that plays to the process side of you and the people quotient that you love to have. But I just think that you're not healthy enough. I think you could. Let me say this, Jessica. I'm not going to say you should, but I think you could down the road get back into an environment like that, but only after you got healthy. Because I think something happens to you, and please don't take this as criticism, because this is not.
Sure.
But I think what happens to you is you get in crisis mode, and it turns you into superhero mode, and you're not a superhero. You want to be. And I think you fake a lot of people out, but I think it has the potential to crush you.
Yeah. So
I want you in a place where there's very little crisis. In other words, if you're in a leadership role where some level of crisis comes up, but you look at it and compared to the crisis you've been dealing with your whole career, you go, everybody comes in your office going, "Oh, Jessica, this happened." You go, first of all, breathe. This is nothing. Go get yourself a bottle of water and a bag of chips and meet me back here in 5 minutes. I got you. It almost needs to be like that, to where it's not a crisis compared. Like, there is real crisis work, and then there is leadership work that has its version of a crisis. And I think you need to be in a role where critical thinking and people leading are the two combos. And you're just there going, hey, I'm looking at this from afar. I've got all this crisis experience, but now I'm going to take all this crisis experience and I'm going to now apply it to a role where I'm critically and strategically thinking. I think I want to mention strategic. See, critical thinking is, here's what's wrong. Strategic thinking is, let's get up above this and figure out who needs to go where to make that happen. I think that's your jam. Am I right? I don't want to put this on you falsely. I don't want to hang
No, I mean, I definitely think that you're right.
And so here's the problem. You have conditioned yourself. And I would also say, I think something in life previously, it doesn't matter, I'm not your therapist, but I think somewhere in there, you've gotten kind of addicted to the dopamine of being Superwoman.
Yeah. Yep.
Until like you save the day and then you can't turn it off. You go home and you go, oh, I should have saved this person. I should have saved this. And I think that's dangerous for you. So what I'm getting at is that you got to create boundaries for the next gig. I think you need to be in leadership, but I think you need to be in an environment that has very little crisis involved. That's I want to stop for a minute because we got a few minutes. I want to know what you think about that, and I want you to almost ideate. What are your thoughts or questions on what I just said?
I mean, the concept sounds really good. I tried to get in that kind of leadership role, in a healthcare situation that's not a 24/7, because that was really kind of my worry and my obsession is that, when I left, everything was still going and felt like it was just out of control. And so I have tried that in the last few years. I haven't landed anything. I got in a director of ops role in higher education, and I stayed there for about almost a year, and it was just, there wasn't enough going on, to be honest.
Okay, good. But that's all helpful. But see, you agree with me, but you doubt that it's possible. That's what I think I'm hearing.
I do. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah,
Why do you doubt that? Well, here's the deal. You went from the fires to education, which moves like sludge.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the deal. It's just a function of you going, wait a second, I'm not confined to these two extremes that I've been in. It's somewhere in the middle there. I think you need to be in business. I think you need to be in business where it moves, where the pace is what you crave, because I think that's the healthy part of you. You need a strong pace, a good, quick pace of things coming my way so that I'm doing that, but not crisis.
Right.
And I'm telling you, those jobs are out there. You're not limited to that. Charlotte, North Carolina, come on, that area. I mean, you've got a lot of experience. I think you need to be in operations and leadership and management, and I think it needs to be in the business world where things are moving at a strong pace. There's a lot of things coming your way. You got to lead a team, and we're leading them to something very specific. But I think it needs to be no crisis and no health care for a while. And so I'm going to send you away with this. I think that you can find it, and you got to just stay with it. You got to have the fortitude to get after it, and I believe in you. This is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.